What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new, very interesting Liverpool takeover update video. We haven't made one of these in a while. There are reports that the Qataris could turn their attention to Liverpool after the Man United sale failed. It was confirmed on the weekend that Man United owners are taking the Man United off the market and they want to wait another couple of years for the Man United brand to appreciate even more in value. So there are reports coming out that the Qataris would be interested in buying Liverpool because their experiment with Paris Saint-Germain failed. They bought a big club in a big city, but Paris Saint-Germain didn't fulfill their expectations. They couldn't build up the club to become the Champions League winner, and also the club is run like an absolute mess. So I think the Qataris would want to buy a club in the Premier League. Their interest was very concrete in the case of Liverpool and Manchester United, and Chief Executive Billy Hogan of Liverpool have confirmed that FSG are continuing to pursue outside investment. A lack of financial power has hurt Liverpool in the transfer market because we couldn't really go for our top targets, and I think Liverpool would have liked to sign a centre-back as well, but I think overall we did pretty well in the transfer market. Even though we couldn't buy Caicedo, it wasn't because of the lack of funds, it was because he chose big money at Chelsea. I think now Roman Lavia is massively regretting his choice of going to Chelsea. He wanted Liverpool all summer long, and Billy Hogan said that talks were ongoing over bringing in new investment opportunities. He said those conversations continue as the ownership has said the opportunity is obviously there for investment. If it happens, it's going to be based on finding the right partner for Liverpool and Liverpool being the right partner for them at the appropriate time. If there is something to announce, then we will let you know. And I wouldn't be surprised if Qatar interest starts towards Liverpool again, because the FSG experiment hasn't hit the goals they want. They want a Premier League team, and it looks like the Glazers will stay at Man United. The Glazers won't sell Man United. So there is only one other team in the Premier League openly for sale at the right price, and that is Liverpool FC. So let me know, would you be happy if the Qataris bought Liverpool? I personally am fine with the owners as long as they give Jurgen Klopp the right kind of tools to succeed. But I can't help but feel with a little bit more investment, we don't even need Qatari amount of money. We just need a little bit more investment, another 30-40 million per year, which is not really much. It's like 15-20 million spent per transfer window on average. We could have built a squad much more capable of winning even more titles, even more trophies, because I felt there were like 2 or 3 seasons where Liverpool missed out on titles by 1 point or a Champions League final lost here and there, and with maybe one more player. Of course, it's not guaranteed that we would have won those league titles, but with one more player, I mean, look at Dominic Szoboszlai, how much of a game changer he is. Imagine if we could sign every 2 or 3 years one player like that who could transform this Liverpool team. I mean, imagine if we signed a centre-back on top of all the other brilliant midfielders that we signed this summer, a centre-back who is a much bigger upgrade on Joel Matip, and we could have sold Matip for a little bit of money because Matip is, I think, past his best. And after several rounds of bids, the 2 main front-runners to purchase Man United are Qatari banker Sheikh Yassim bin Hamad Al Thani and British billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And then Sheikh Yassim reportedly made a 5th take it or leave it bid in June of over £5 billion. It has been suggested that Man United owners, the Glazers, are holding out for a £6 billion bid. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, this money that is floating around. And by the way, what do you think about this news? Would you welcome Qatari investors who either bought part of Liverpool or the whole of Liverpool Football Club? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. How do you rate FSG after this transfer window that just finished? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I've always loved reading your comments, and I will try to respond to some of them this afternoon. And of course, leave a like on this video if you enjoy these transfer news and Liverpool news updates. And now we are hopefully moving on from the transfer news, even though the Mo Salah story is still not going away. Hopefully in a 2 or 3 days we can put an end to that rumor as well. And Kieran Maguire, a finance expert, said that the behavior of the Glazers is of no surprise in terms of silence followed by silence, and both Sheikh Yassim and Jim Ratcliffe will become frustrated by the lack of movement in the Man United takeover. The lack of progress in the deal has certainly frustrated the camps of Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Yassim. We are starting to see a drop in the share price as every day goes by without any news. It has turned Man United into a soap opera off the field, whereas fans would much rather be concentrating on matters on the field. There is no evidence that they have reduced the budget this summer. The new owner could definitely have enhanced it, and many will view that as a lost opportunity. But I think Man United fans can't really complain, because Erik ten Hag spent more money than Jurgen Klopp spent in his entire tenure at Liverpool. Erik ten Hag has a bigger net spend than Jurgen Klopp, and Erik ten Hag has been at Man United for like 2 seasons now, and Jurgen Klopp has been at Liverpool for like 8 seasons. So that is a big discrepancy. And yes, Man United can spend a lot of money even with these bad owners like the Glazers, but the Man United fans crying about not spending enough is it feels wrong to me as a Liverpool fan, because we spent even less, a lot less than Man United throughout the last like 7 or 8 years. And what is really fascinating to me is that one of FSG's partners, one of the partners in FSG of John W. Henry, the Liverpool owner, and who is also the Boston Red Sox president and CEO, Sam Kennedy, says that it is no secret that Liverpool need massive investment. He said these clubs like Liverpool, they need massive investment. Are we disciplined? Yes, of course, because we need to spend at the player development area on free agents, on transfers when it comes to global football. And of course, this goes hand in hand with Liverpool's self-sustaining model, which leaves little room for error in the transfer window. And I think Liverpool absolutely nailed it in the transfer window again. Szoboszlai and McAllister are already almost guaranteed to be successes at Liverpool. Gravenberch is a huge talent. He looks like he will become a great player at Liverpool. Wataru, the jury is out, but he's like a short-term solution to a problem that Liverpool have, until probably Liverpool find a world-class defensive midfielder who is a lot younger, and maybe there wasn't one available for the right price in the summer transfer window. So let's see what we do in January or next summer in terms of signing a proper, brilliant defensive midfielder. Hopefully Bajcetic can develop into a great player as well. And I mean, other people are looking for Premier League, trying to get into Premier League and investment in the Premier League. The owner of the NBA's Boston Celtics, Steve Paiuka, has revealed that he's assessing opportunities in the Premier League, even though he couldn't purchase Chelsea, even though he was interested in it. Speaking on the Bloomberg Talks podcast, Paiuka admitted that he's still exploring the possibility of buying a club in the Premier League. He said, a league like the Premier League, 3 or 4 teams are owned by a sovereign state with basically unlimited investment. To be in the Champions League, there is basically only 1 spot left for the other 16 teams that don't have those kind of resources. We are assessing opportunities in the Premier League. I think there is a higher bar there than there would have been in terms of that you have to be sure you have an academy and a structure where you can keep up with the economic disparity. A finance expert claimed that FSG are seeking either a minority investment or a full sale, but more likely a minority investment of 400 to 500 million pounds, worth 10 to 15% of Liverpool FC. And Paiuka said that it's almost impossible to make the Champions League unless you are one of the high-funded sovereign teams. It makes it less attractive to buy a Premier League team, and you bang your head against the wall. The top 4 club isn't for sale, so you can only look at the next 16. And the next 16 are going to have an advantage if they have that financial backing where they are outspending them. I mean, if he's referring to the top 4 as the top 4 last season, that's true, apart from maybe Man United, because I still think that Man United might be for sale, and this talk that the Glazers are taking Man United off the market, maybe it's a tactic to get a higher bid in from one of the bidders. But I think Liverpool is still for sale, and I don't think it's impossible to get into the Champions League without state funding, because Liverpool have done it for 5 years in a row under Jurgen Klopp, or was it 6 years in a row? I'm not sure. Can't remember really. And FSG are doing it in a very, very frugal but smart way, but there is very little room for error. As I said, if you are caught sleeping in one transfer window, that could be it. You are out of the Champions League, like Liverpool have done it with the midfielders. When our primary targets weren't available, like Tchouaméni and Bellingham last summer, we decided not to sign a midfielder, and that cost Liverpool massively. And I don't think we can make that same mistake again in any transfer window. Liverpool have done a really good job of rebuilding the team this summer, but I still feel that we could have upgraded on Matip, and we could have sold Matip for a little bit of money, 5 to 10 million. And then we could have signed a really, really, really talented centre-back. Somebody like Gravenberch in the midfield area. So somebody for like 35, 40 million pounds who can come in and already start developing and growing and learning at Liverpool. I'm fine with keeping Joe Gomez because he's now the longest serving player at Liverpool, even ahead of Alisson and Van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Joe Gomez has been the longest at Liverpool out of all the current players, which is really interesting. But I think we needed a younger centre-back instead of Matip. Nothing against Matip, but he's injury prone. He's on his last year in his contract. So I think it would have made sense for Liverpool to bring in somebody who is younger, better, with higher potential. But FSG are very risk averse when it comes to making transfers. They prefer to keep a player in the squad instead of signing someone in place of him who is younger, because there is a big risk that the transfer won't work out. Usually transfers are like 50-50% whether they work out or not. FSG actually believe it's 48% that the transfer will be a success, and it depends on a lot of factors, of course. So they prefer to actually not make a transfer unless it's absolutely necessary, and unless you can make a lot of detailed analysis and scouting analysis and background checks on the player. So you can increase that 48% to something like 60-70%. FSG want to absolutely make sure that the transfer is as highly likely to be a success as possible. And you might dislike that model, but Liverpool right now with the current owners don't have the money to gamble in the transfer market. We can't just take punts on players like Chelsea, like Man City, like Newcastle, like even like Man United have done in the previous years, that they just signed players for the sake of it and hoping that they will come good, and if it's not, they bin them off and they can sign other players. But Man United got burned this summer because they didn't extend the contract of De Gea, so they had to drop 40 million on Onana. Plus they had to drop another 5 million on a backup goalkeeper, and then they didn't have as much money to strengthen the midfield. Also, Harry Maguire and McTominay, they were two players that Man United tried to sell. They decided to stay there because, of course, they are getting big fat wages at Man United. Maguire was already sold to West Ham, but Maguire declined that move, so Man United couldn't sign a centre-back upgrade on Maguire, and that's of course great news for Liverpool, because Maguire and McTominay, they are not top 4 quality players anymore. Man United could have invested 70 million pounds on new players if they managed to sell those players. McTominay probably would have fetched 30 million, Maguire 40 million. The deal was agreed with West Ham, but in the end Maguire decided to stay because, of course, he would have had to accept lower wages at West Ham, so he decided to stay at Man United. And sometimes it doesn't work out, you can't shift players, but that's the way that football is nowadays. And some English newspapers are claiming that Mansour bin Ibrahim Al Mahmoud, who is the managing director of Qatari Investment Authority, has held talks last week in England regarding Liverpool Football Club. The investment firm were trying to put pressure on FSG to sell the club to them, but so far FSG have stood firm, and apparently he's the CEO of Qatari Investment Authority, not the managing director. So that's an even higher, bigger hierarchy. Al Ittihad are also planning to submit a £200 million bid for Mo Salah, but I don't think Liverpool are selling Salah because we can't sign a replacement. And even if we could sign a replacement, nobody comes close to replicate Mo Salah's numbers. The only player that I can think of who potentially could move in the next 1 or 2 years, who could replace Salah's numbers, is Kylian Mbappe. But Mbappe plays on the left wing, so we might have to sell Jota and Salah and buy a right winger on top of buying Kylian Mbappe. The big problem with Mbappe is it's not even his transfer fee, because Jude Bellingham, the transfer fee wasn't the problem. He went for like 95 million. The problem is his wages, just like the problem was with Bellingham's wages. Bellingham earns twice as much as Dominic Szoboszlai. So over the course of a 5-year contract, you have to give out £100 million more on wages on Bellingham than on Dominic Szoboszlai. And with Mbappe, I think it's even more. Mbappe's wages are probably almost double of what Salah is earning at Liverpool, his wages at PSG. So he wouldn't come to Liverpool for a 50% wage cut. And if Liverpool want to pay anywhere close to Mbappe's wages, what he's earning at PSG, you have to restructure your whole wage structure, wage pyramid at Liverpool. And FSG just don't have the funds for that. But if a takeover happens, or if they get minority investment and a Qatari investment firm invests heavily into FSG, in theory we could make it work if we could get more money. But of course it would snowball, and then Liverpool would have to rise or increase the wages of everybody really in the club. So let me know what you think about all the things that we talked about in this video. I would love to hear your opinion. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later guys. Goodbye.